The first thing that you need to do to get ready for your clay project is you need to get bags ready, because clay gets dried out if it's not wrapped up. So you're going to get 2 bags, place one bag inside of the other bag. Sometimes I have some boards that are covered with plastic. You're going to place that inside of your 2 bags. Then you're going to take a piece of tape. You're going to take a pretty long piece and you're going to place that down near the bottom of your bag, not up by the handles, and you're going to print your first name, your last name, and your period number and your homeroom number on that bag, so that all 3 of those things are on there, because that way when you put your clay piece in, you slide this underneath, you'll still be able to find your clay piece easily. Okay. As you're getting started with your clay projects, you're going to need to set up your table. There are some bins that have some different clay tools in. You're also going to have a tablecloth. Cover the tablecloth. Clay bin will go on top of the tablecloth. There should be some slip in there, as well as some other tools. You may need to get some rolling pins from the back corner of the room, and then your table will also need a little bit of water. You just need a little bit, about 1 inch of water in the bottom for your table to share, and then you will need your bags that you're going to place your clay in at the end of class. You will also need your piece of clay that you're going to work with. Your clay will start out as a piece that's all wedged, air pockets are taken care of, but then as you use your clay, you're going to need to re-wedge or re-knead your clay into one piece so that you can continue. Okay, the first clay method that I'm going to show you is called the pinch method. You might remember this from elementary school, doing a pinch pot. So you're going to start with a piece of clay and you're going to pinch the clay to form or shape the clay into what you want. Now, a lot of times you can make a pinch pot, but it doesn't just have to be a pinch pot. You know, you could take other pieces of clay, maybe you're pinching it to make it the shape that you want it. You know, maybe I'm going to make this into a butterfly wing or an ear. You can pinch and pull the clay to shape the clay. That is called the pinch method. Again, pinch method, you pinch and pull the clay. Okay, the next method you can use is the coil method. So you would take a bit of clay and you're going to roll it between your 2 hands or up against the table, and you want to make sure that you're rolling it evenly between your 2 hands, and then you can connect those pieces that you make into coils. You can also connect them onto other pieces. Okay, I would need to actually connect this, but I think you can start to get the idea. You know, you can start to add more than one coil. You can make a piece get bigger or smaller depending on where you're placing the coil. If you place it to the outside, that'll make it a little bit bigger. If you place it to the inside, that'll start to make it a little bit smaller. This is the coil method, and they look like snake type pieces. The next clay process is the slab method. So with the slab method, you start with your piece of clay. First, you're going to flatten it kind of like a thick hamburger. You're going to use the palm of your hand to press down and start to flatten it against your tablecloth. Then you're going to take a rolling pin and you're going to press and roll the clay. And this is the slab method. And you're going to roll it out until it's about the thickness of your pointer finger. Okay. Roll that out, and then once you have your slab rolled out, then you would use a template. So you would set a piece of paper on top, and then you would cut your clay into the shapes that you need. And then you would start to place those pieces together. So you're cutting and constructing your clay piece that way. Okay, so maybe this is the start of a box. The last clay method that we're going to talk about is the drape mold method. So this one's going to start out a lot like the slab method. You're going to take your piece of clay, you're going to start to flatten it like a thick hamburger or like a pancake. Okay, you're pressing it against the tablecloth using the palm of your hand. Then you're going to take your rolling pin and you're going to start to roll it out. I usually flip it over as I'm rolling. I do this with the slab method or the drape mold method. I roll it out some more, flip it, roll it out a little bit more, and then if I need to, I can cut a shape out of it. Sometimes I don't cut the shape out first. Sometimes I place it where I need it first and then cut the shape. So with the drape mold method, you would have some type of form. I'm going to flip this bowl upside down and I'm going to press the clay up against the shape so that it steals the shape from the piece that it's pressed against. This is called the drape mold method because I'm draping it over top of the form to conform the clay to the shape of the object. And then I would be taking it off of this piece and it would keep the shape. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about is how to connect clay. So you might have a few pieces that you want to connect, and we don't just stick them together because clay shrinks as it dries and it would start to come apart. So we need to do a few things first. First, we're going to score the clay, which basically means to cut like little X's into the clay. This gives the slip a place to travel, which helps to connect it a little bit better. You're going to score on the piece that you want to connect and the piece that you're going to connect it to. And in this case, I'm making like a box type shape. I'm going to score on top, not next to it. That way, if there happens to be a failure, it's going to press harder against it instead of sliding off of the edge. Then I'm going to get some slip out. Slip is a mixture of clay and water, and it acts like glue. If you run out of slip, you're just going to add some little bits of clay and a little bit of water back together, and you're going to use a clay tool, or if I have a toothbrush in there, you can use that as well, and you're going to paint the slip on the two parts that you want to connect. Then I'm going to press them together. Okay. Next, I'm going to tally, just like if I were counting. You're going to find something that has a rounded edge, and you're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, except we're not going to do the diagonals. And I'm going to tally on the inside and on the outside, at least in 2 places, so that it really starts to connect that clay. And you're always, always, always going to support the clay from the opposite side as you're doing this. So I'm tallying across. I'm not moving a whole lot of clay, but I am going across that edge. And then I want to find another tool that has kind of a straighter edge. Again, I'm supporting on the opposite side, and I'm going to go across that seam to really connect those 2 pieces together, and I can start to smooth out the pieces so that when you're completely finished, you can make it look like one piece together, and I shouldn't really see any of those other bits. Now, if I need extra support, like if I have a taller wall, I can take another little piece of clay, roll it into a coil, and I can press this down inside on one side of the clay, and then I can tally going upward and downward. I'm not cutting into the clay, I'm using the flat side of this tool, and then again I'm using the flat edge, and I'm really going to smooth that out with the tool, and then I can also smooth that area out with my fingers. Now, if your hands start to get really dry, they're starting to look white, take a little bit of water just on your fingertips, and then you're going to rub your 2 hands together so that your hands are not soaking wet, but they're just a little bit damp, and that'll help making smoothing just a little bit easier. Okay, when you've been working with your clay and it's separated into different pieces, you might want to put it back together. So you're going to knead or wedge the clay. You're pressing the clay down and forward and rolling it back up on itself. And you're going to repeat that for about 1 to 2 minutes. You can turn it and continue pressing down, forward, roll it back up, down, forward, and continue until it's all connected back as one solid piece. This will get out air bubbles so that your clay piece doesn't explode or break in the kiln.